The South Korean military claimed that a ballistic missile fired by North Korea on Monday may have had an abnormal flight trajectory and may have fallen inland, potentially close to Pyongyang, the country's capital. South Korea, the United States, and Japan have reported that North Korea launched 2 ballistic missiles on Monday morning. According to a statement from South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff, JCS, the missiles were fired between 5:05 and 5:15 a.m. local time. The first missile had a flight distance of 600 kilometers, 373 miles, while the second missile had a distance of 120 kilometers, 75 miles. In a briefing, JCS spokeswoman Lee Sung-jun responded to a question concerning the discrepancies in distance by saying, "There is a chance that the second launched missile had an abnormal flight in the early stage." Lee clarified that the explosion is just one of several possibilities when he remarked, "If it had exploded during an abnormal flight, there is the possibility that debris fell inland." The armed forces are intensely examining a number of options. He stated that there hasn't been any verifiable damage yet. While South Korea declared the first missile to be a short-range ballistic missile with a flight path of 600 kilometers, 373 miles, Lee would only refer to the second as a ballistic missile, raising the potential that it was a novel weapon. The 2 missiles were fired toward the northeast from the Cheonggyun region of South Gyeongsang Province, which is located roughly 130 kilometers, 81 miles, southwest of Pyongyang, according to JCS. Based on the distance from the launch point, the debris may have fallen close to Pyongyang if the missile burst after traveling 120 kilometers, 75 miles, northeast from Cheonggyun, the capital, which is home to over 3 million people and is the largest city in North Korea, was not within the JCS confirmation range when it came to explosions. One key step in improving its missile technology was taken last week when North Korea announced that it had successfully tested the ability to launch multiple warheads from a single-stage engine for a medium to long-range ballistic missile. Later, South Korea denied the veracity of the North Korean assertion. Multiple warheads should separate from a missile during the descending portion of its flight. According to JCS spokesperson Lee, however, North Korea's rocket burst early during launch. Following the launches on Monday morning, North Korea remained silent. However, on Sunday, the state-run Korean Central News Agency, KCNA, released a statement criticizing the recent Freedom Edge military drills between the US, South Korea, and Japan, referring to them as yet another instance of the 3 countries' reckless and provocative military muscle flexing. North Korea promised to continue to make important efforts to deter the acts of disturbing peace and stability on the Korean peninsula, according to the statement. Although an armistice ended the Korean War in 1953 and divided the peninsula, no formal peace treaty was ever signed. Therefore, technically the 2 Koreas are still at war. In 2017 and 2018, there was a slight improvement in the 2 nations' relations. But in the subsequent years, North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un escalated his nuclear tests in defiance of UN sanctions, and diplomatic efforts broke down. North Korea recently inked a defense deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and South Korea is building up collaboration with Japan and the US. Meanwhile, both countries are getting closer to their respective partners.